welcome to the pre-Christmas edition of Mainly Motorsports. I mean, Christmas is only, what, 4 days away now, Greg?
Yeah.
Wow, maybe 3. I don't know how many days away it is.
I hate Christmas.
It's time to start shopping. Have you got all your shopping done?
No.
No, it's, well, you know, when you got that...
We're guys. We don't worry about that
when you
stuff.
got that perfect woman at home, you're looking for that perfect gift.
Oh, absolutely. My woman's perfect.
So, what are you going to get her?
I can't say.
Oh. Well,
I mean, she doesn't watch the show, but somebody else might.
Somebody else might. Yeah. I'm still working for the perfect gift for my wife, so pretty excited.
Leanne would say that you are the perfect gift.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, kids don't understand how really a big deal this is, but can you imagine what my wife gets Christmas 365 days a year because she wakes up next to me? That's better than anything that could be under a tree. Now, yeah. Speaking of tree, you want a tree story? And I know it's, but I got to tell the tree story, right? We're looking for a tree, right? My little one, Andrea, she's right into Christmas. She just loves, I just found out the other day that all the grandparents are staying at my house Christmas Eve. So they're all going to be at the house, which is, you know what, I don't mind. It's a big deal to see them. My kids still get excited. So, Daddy, we got to go get a Christmas tree. You know, when are we going to get a Christmas tree? When are we going to get a Christmas tree? So, yeah, we go get a Christmas tree. So we buy a Christmas tree. I want to buy the cheapest stand I can possibly find to put the Christmas tree up, right? Well, the first thing is we go buy the tree, and we got this new husky dog. We go to Home Depot to get the tree. The dog wants to get out. I take the dog for a ride. Dog takes off running. My daughter's holding the leash, runs right out of its leash, gone. Running through the parking lot of Home Depot, running through, headed into the store, right? My daughter's freaking out. So
Were you running around chasing it?
No, I don't run. I mean, you can obviously tell I don't run, right? So what did we need? Did we need the rescue there and the dog catcher? You know, 911 for me and dog catcher. So my wife's driving around with the car doors open, get the dog in. My daughter's freaking out because she thinks the dog's going to run out and get killed, you know. So needless to say, the dog jumped back in the truck. We felt obligated now to buy a treat because the lady at Home Depot helped us because she had dog treats, so helped us get him. Right. So no big deal, get the tree. You know how many places I went to find a tree stand?
10.
No, 3. Finally went to the 4th, found it, but the cheapest one wouldn't work. So the tree stood outside on the porch for 2 days. Finally, I felt bad because my daughter really wanted the tree up to decorate it. So the Christmas tree just irritated me right to death, you know. So I think of that song where the guy gets all stressed out of the stringing out the lights. Bringing up the lights! That was me over our Christmas tree fiasco. We don't have stringing up the light problems because every year when I throw the tree out, I throw the tree, the stand, and the lights with it. So I tell my wife, if you've got any sentimental ornaments, you better get them off it because they all go. But it is a great time of year. Everybody's, you know, it's a chance for all the races to celebrate with their families. It's Christmas season, you know, and, you know, obviously a lot of people aren't as fortunate as some of us. So, you know, think of those people this time of year, you know. Yeah,
we just had the racing Christmas Yankee swap and
the Naughty 40 Christmas party.
Yeah.
How much naughty stuff was handed out?
Who knows?
Yeah, there was some stuff.
Oh yeah.
But that's good. You know, that stuff's fun. You know.
Yeah, we do it every year, and it's adults only, because it's adults.
Really?
It's one of those parties where you gotta.
It had to be an adult.
You can't. You can't bring kids.
No, yeah. I've been to some of the things like that, but you know. It's almost the end of the year. What's that mean, Greg?
It's time for the Northeast Motorsports Expo.
That's right. I got you programmed. You know, but it's 2 weeks away, a little over 2 weeks away, and I can't believe how fast. I mean, think about it. You guys had your car on display last year up there. Yeah. And it's already back.
I know. It's the race season. When you get in the go mode for race season, it just flies by, and you like everybody making comments on Facebook, oh, I can't wait for race season to be back and this and that. It's just, everybody's we got to try to find our racing fix, you know. Daytona 500's coming up, you know. Yeah, and, you know, we're going to have a guest on here today that might have some news about Daytona, you know. Probably not going to get it all out of him because I think he's holding a little bit back. But, yeah, he doesn't talk a lot. I got my favorite nationwide car owner on the show today, and we're going to talk about some things and where he's come in only 3 short years of racing, you know. Yeah, and, it's pretty amazing, really.
Yeah, he's, you know, we talked as we, at our new Mainly Motorsports headquarters down here at the North Dam Mill, we went down and I treated to some pizza. You had to get that on TV, didn't you? Yeah, Union Street Pub and Pizza. So maybe we'll have some live shows done where people can actually come, hang out, go down there, have some pizza, and then come into the studio now that we got our own first-class facility, and they can sit and we can have a live studio audience. Yeah, that'd be fun. You know, and it's a pretty good sized room, but if they all show up the size of me and you, we're not gonna have much of a big crowd. But
yeah, it's not that big a room.
no, it's not that big a room. But you know, it's good. We got a lot of things happening, a lot of things going on today.
Yeah, we got it jam packed. It's gonna be a lot of you and me talking and
Yep.
stuff like that, but
And-
it's stuff that we need to talk about.
Last night, the Mainleys closed, the 4th annual Mainleys.
Yeah.
And-
How'd that turn out? Have you really got an idea yet?
Oh, I know. But you're not gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. This
I
is
know.
like a top secret. So it is. I mean, I know because I have to get the stuff done. But it's pretty neat to hear, you know, when you're up there and you're wondering, you know, because I have a lot of people,
Yeah.
you know, when they come in Saturday, have you handed out the Mainly for this award? Have you because I hand them out when that person's in the building. When I see that person in the building, you know, then I'll go to the podium and
You should get a poster board, put it up. When you pass out a Mainly for something, you take a little Polaroid picture. You can have Andrea do it and stick it on the poster board so people can come in and check out what Mainly's got passed out already.
yeah, you know that reminds me of. Remember the movie Major League when the guys every time they won a game they peeled off the team owner's coat and underneath it was her in a bikini. Look at that. Same type of idea, right?
Yeah.
But no, I'll tell you, we had over 7,000 votes come in
Yeah.
for Mainly. So
That's unbelievable.
it
isn't
really is. You know, it shows that the motorsports enthusiasts in the state of Maine are passionate about showing their support or throwing their support
Right.
behind somebody. And then, like anything else, you have some runaway categories. But I'll tell you, there was some close battles.
You know, it's kind of just like racing. Sometimes you have those races where people run away and hide, or jackrabbit, or whatever you want to, stink up the show, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you got those races where they're banging doors coming off of turn 4.
There was 2
to hit the start
categories.
finish line.
And I'm not going to say which 2 because I don't want people to, you know, 2 categories were within 50 votes for first and second.
Right.
50 votes within 50 votes.
That's pretty
okay,
incredible.
with over 7,000 votes cast total. That's pretty amazing. So thank you to everybody that went to the Mainly Motorsports TV website and, you know, logged on to vote because that's,
Right.
you know, it shows that you are passionate and you want to be heard.
Absolutely. You know, and hopefully everybody took what we talked about earlier in the year. You know, I gave a little, jumped up on my soapbox about, you know, go out there and do some research and don't just vote on, I mean, you can vote on your favorite guy. That's nice, and vote on your home track guy or whatever, but do some research and say, hey, well, you know what? This guy did win a bunch of races. Hopefully people did that this year and it gets spread out a little bit more, you know?
Yeah, and then that's why when we go to the Northeast, and you'll see this week's show, the Northeast Motorsports Expo is going to be sprinkled and sprinkled and sprinkled throughout the show because
Right,
it is the next biggest deal. But that's why at that show, you know, Tim always used to give a weekly driver of the year and a touring driver of the year. Well, let's face it, when you're a touring driver of the year, you know, in a kind of a lower tier tour, you're having a hard time to outmaneuver and outdo the guys on the ACT side of things, or the Mount Modified side of things, or the
Right,
Pass
yeah.
side of things. So what I've did was we have the Premier Division touring driver. You know, pitch your
And then
your
support
Pass Super
touring,
Late
yeah.
models against your K&N guys, against your
the
Patrick
ACT
LaPearl
guys,
Outlaw guys, and all
yeah.
that. Your ACT guys, and then we have the support touring. You know, the Legend guys, the Pass Sportsmen, the Pass Modified, the Northeast Mini
Right.
Stock Tour guys. You know, and we do the same thing on the weekly side of things. We give the Premier guys their shot, you know, because let's face it, at any track, it's always it ain't no different in NASCAR level. Sunday gets all the attention. Saturday and Friday with the trucks and the Nationwide, they get some attention, but
They get
most of the-
attention. Most of their attention on Friday and Saturdays from the diehard.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
so we wanted to kind of give those guys in the next tier down they're spotted. You know, they get the same award. And that's what's nice because usually the next tier down never gets that same award, you know.
Right.
So we make sure they do. So those awards will get presented up there at the Northeast Motorsports Expo as well as all the show awards. So
Who does your awards for the Northeast Motorsports Expo?
a guy by the name of Todd Mead over at Award Champs, you know, and anybody wants to look at your big melon. And, you know, you just wear it on top. You ought to get you a hat, looks like a trophy, like a crown or something. But, you know, anybody that's, you know, I know we had a big race up at Unity this year.
Yep.
And, you know, we brought the trophies up along with Lee from Ford Senior Synthetic. They were pretty impressed. And then you got, Beech Ridge has them weekly. Pass has them when they run at Beech Ridge. So the lawnmower guys, a lot of guys, Richmond, that's what they use. So Todd's, I'm not saying nobody else can do the job, but Todd, we've been fortunate enough, and Todd threw out, and I hate to pat us on the back of the show, but Todd threw out a little compliment a couple weeks ago that, him and his wife were talking. He is swamped right now, just swamped with stuff, sponsor plaques and all that. And he told me, he says, part of the growth, a major part of my growth of my company has been through our involvement with Mainly Motorsports, because I work as a salesman. I'm out there working.
He's on the screen now.
On the screen now. I work this, I working the floor, basically. I'm like, I feel like I should be Steve Magnanti from Barrett Jackson working the floor. And don't forget, he's going to be up there at the show, so we get a chance to see a local, not a local guy, but a big-time star, bigger than me.
I'm not taking it.
Come on,
I'm not biting.
I dare you.
No, you can dangle the worm in front of me, but I'm not biting.
You're not going to take it? But no, it's good. I'm real excited about the show, and sure you don't want to take it. It's not that big of a worm, trust me. No, I'm just kidding. But no, so we got a lot of great things planned today. We're going to talk about the show, talk about a seminar that we put together. You came up with a great idea, and we're going to have up there. But probably we got some other announcements to make. Some bigger than others today. But I think today's show, tonight's show, the pre-Christmas Mainly Motorsports show is going to be one that people will be talking about for, I don't want to say years on end, because
hey, I don't want to give it away, but
people are going to be talking about what we've been able to do, and with some help, and I think it's going to be pretty good. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be sitting here with my favorite nationwide car owner, right here on Mainly Motorsports.
Today's vehicles are equipped with complex safety features such as anti-lock brakes, seatbelt restraints, and airbag systems. Even collision avoidance systems. Not available on all models. Hi, I'm Sean Moody from Moody's Collision Centers. We don't wish bad luck on anyone, but even with today's technology, we need to keep our eyes on the road and our hands on the wheel. Moody's Collision Centers, now with 6 convenient locations.
Life in Maine is all about outdoor fun and being close to nature. Southern Maine Jeep is all about delivering you the best selection and the best prices at one location. Live it up with a new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee, increased horsepower and mileage, or go for the all-new look of the Jeep Compass 4x4. If Maine had a state car, it would be the Jeep. No other vehicle has the capabilities that come standard on every Jeep. No other dealer is working as hard to be #1 as Southern Maine Motors.
Patman's Redemption and Agency Liquor Store is located at 95 Tanberg Trail in Windham, Maine. With over 400 feet of hard liquor and 15 doors of ice-cold beer and soda, Patman's can handle all of your beverage needs. And if it's wine on your agenda, we have over 300 varieties in stock. Then when the party's over, Patman's can handle all of your Maine returnables, and we welcome all bottle drives. And if you're late for the race, drop off the bottles and pick up the cash at your convenience.
Hey, this is Pat Man himself, just letting you know that Pat Man's is your one-stop shop for all your thirsty needs.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Award Champs, rewarding your champions, the official supplier of Mainly Motorsports. LKQ Core, any part, any repair, anywhere. Located on Route 202 in Gorham.
Now we're sitting here with the CEO, president, and everything else, right? Go Green Racing. And I know we've been on the show before and talked with you, and I remember 4 years ago, interviewing you at Thursday Thunder, and look at you now, huh?
Yeah, I've come a long way, haven't I?
And you told me, you were going. They were going to start at Thursday Thunder and be in the Cup level. And
well, I tell you, there's.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but how close are we to the Cup level?
We're close, Steve.
We're
close.
Could we see Go Green Racing in the 500?
I don't think we'll see them in the 500, but I'm here to say that by the end of 2012, Go Green Racing will be in a Cup race.
And that's a little team that's based out of Mooresville. Yeah. Little compared to what goes on down there.
Oh, for sure.
But I still call you're based out of Old Orchard Beach, Maine.
Yeah, everything happens out of our office right here in Old Orchard Beach.
That's where you had your little Thursday Thunder car.
Yeah, right.
Then you decided on a whim one day you were going to get, an AT car.
Right.
A Pro Stock, and you went up to the 250, and then from there you ended up buying a couple of K&N cars, Sure. Had some success there.
Yeah, no, K&N program was good for us. you know, we raced one full season in there, and I think in '09, and we finished 7th in points. And then we raced a partial season, almost won at New Hampshire right to the last lap. We're leading and got taken out, so we had some good success there and enjoyed it. It's a great program for kids moving up the ladder, and we liked it. It was a good time.
What did that feel like? You know, 2010, you're running part-time. You had some success years before. Alan did a great job. He did everything you asked of him.
He did.
You know, and he ran competitively, won a pole.
Yes, he did.
But there you are. You know, you're within 2 laps of winning, you know, a race at New Hampshire. I mean, did you ever dream of that day? And then all of a sudden,
No,
boom,
you know, I was up on the pit box. You say that. I was up on the pit box, and probably with 10 laps to go, it started to sink in. I said, boy, we're going to win this race. And, you know, and really with all the competition, I mean, we're racing against Joe Gibbs. We're racing against Michael Waltrip Racing. I mean, there's a ton. DEI had teams back then. We're racing against the best of the best. Trevor Bain was out there. You know, Ryan Truex. So there were some great teams out there, and Alan did a great job. He got it to the front, and then about 10 laps to go, I said, wow, we could win this thing. And you know, to us, that was a huge endeavor because we went in there to be competitive, but when you get a certain sense of satisfaction going by a Joe Gibbs car and with a local guy, and we were working out of a 2-bay wooden garage up in Lyman getting the cars ready. So we were quite proud of that evening, even though it didn't finish out the way that it should have. Alan should have won that race, but we just knew we could do it, and that was kind of the culmination of my K&N career. So we made a couple decisions on the pit box that we wouldn't ordinarily do, which was take tires and fuel early. It's just too hard to pass at that track. And we said, let's take the stuff at lap 40, 45, where a lot of guys take it at 80, 90, let them come by us at the end. And they didn't come by us, they went through us. And Ryan, of course, Corey LaJoie took us out with the last lap, and then Ryan Truex went on to win the race like he did a lot of other races. But that was our race. But hey, that's it. But it was just something to think about from there on out that said we can compete, and that's really that race, I think, is what moved us up to the nationwide
made
series.
You realize
and we can do it.
And Alan did it. I mean, Alan wasn't a household name when it came to racing around here. He won Rookie of the Year in the Pro All-Star Series, and but he opened a lot of eyes. I mean, unfortunately, it hasn't turned into anything for him, and Alan just got married, and how many more months you think we're going to see the wedding pictures on Facebook?
Oh, I don't know. I think Jess is real proud of that, so we'll see him for a little while. But you know something, she worked hard on that wedding,
and we talked to people that went, and we had our roving reporter, you know, like our inside reporter Kenny Blow.
Oh yeah,
and,
there you go.
Kenny said it was amazing, and it was one of the nicest things he ever been to. So.
Yeah, he said it was great. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I had a Phoenix race, and my wife was out of town too, but we heard it was a great show, and she put on. She did most of the work herself and did a great job. So good for them.
Now, if you're looking for a wedding planner, she's got experience.
There you go. She can do it.
Yeah, but then you decided at the end of that year that you were going to try this nationwide thing. And speaking of the nationwide, if people want to know the reason Amanda's not here anymore, and you're looking at Greg, it's Archie's fault because I sent her to 2 races, and she literally bumped into DJ, and look what happened from there.
She fell in love. I took her down to
that was Homestead.
Took her to Homestead at the end of the season. We had Eddie McDonald running. We didn't get into that race, but she fell in love. She scored down there. We didn't get into the race, but she scored a boyfriend down there. Later went on, and now they have a child, and they're very happy living just outside Mooresville. So we lost a host, and we got Greg, but I'm not so sure there's any comparison between the two there.
No, but Greg,
I'd vote for Amanda to come back.
Greg feels
nothing wrong with Greg.
I mean, we had a half hour to restage the set to get you to sit in here. You know, we had to shrink everything down. But no, she did a great job for us, and it was good for her to get down there. And when she came back after the first one with, I think it was Nashville, the first one you guys went to with Eddie.
Exactly.
And she said, what an experience, you know, and you know, to see that little team from Maine, it's almost like the little engine that could. Yeah. But then you kind of pick and choose the following year. But then this past year, you decided it's time to go for it.
Yeah, it was. I think we said we either got to get in this or get out of it. So I went down, met with the people at Roush Fenway, who are a big ally of ours, worked greatly with them, and they had some points for some cars that they weren't going to run. So we worked a deal with them as a supplier of our engines, of our equipment. And in trade for getting the points to be locked in the first 5 races. Our original commitment was really to run 5 or 6 races and see where we could be, and then decide whether we were going to run more or one a month. I think one a month was the original plan. But like anything else in racing, you get the bug. We ran 5 or 6 races. We had a couple tough times there, and at Daytona, our first. Mr. Keselowski took us out, and that car we threw away the next day. That was 1 car gone. We only had 2 to start with, by the way. And then we went to Phoenix. We finished 18th, I believe, at Phoenix, so with Josh Wise in the car. We were very happy with that. Then we went to Vegas, and again, Josh in the car. We kind of caught a manhole cover there and went about 12 feet in the air, which I think Las Vegas Speedway uses as their ad now to get people to come to the race. So that was
and that was like,
interesting.
Like lap 2 or 3, you know?
That was lap 3. So that car went 8 feet in the air, came down. We had to throw that one away. So we were down to one car that we had luckily got that week. But then we continued. We stayed locked in all season. We had a real good year, and you know, we're comfortable with what we're doing. We had 14 different drivers during the season. Our business model is a little different from the typical NASCAR series of you know, an owner going to get a driver that he feels can get it done, and then going to chase a sponsor. The sponsorship is tight down there. The economy is still way tight for guys that it's kind of discretionary money that they're spending on sponsorship. So we kind of looked at a different business model where let's lock a guy in for 2 or 3 races, have him go out and get his own sponsorship or through family funds or friends or however they had to raise the money, and then bring them into the program and have it more of a development program. So we worked along with NASCAR. All the drivers that we got had to be approved through Brett Bodine at NASCAR. They had to show that they could race at 1 mile tracks, half-mile tracks, 1.5 mile tracks, all the way up to the super speedways. Some of the drivers we had plenty of experience. We had Josh Wise, Danny Eflin, Danny O'Quinn, you know, Kelly Byers, Timmy Andrews, Benny Gordon was in the car. And some of them didn't have a lot of experience. But they really did a great job for what we gave them. It was all Roush equipment. Some of them were newcomers, so they didn't finish as good. We had some teen finishes. Our best finish was 13th, which we're quite proud of, because you just got to know, when you hear 13th, you think, boy, that's not the greatest thing. We're looking for a win, but you got to understand that every week there's 10 Cup drivers in this division, pretty much 10. So I'm a realist on this thing. I believe that the top 10 spots are pretty much taken by these Cup guys. So our program is racing, I look at probably from 15th to 25th every week. And we put a guy like a Josh Wise or something in the car that's got some experience. Josh drove Danica's car when she wasn't in the car this year. That we're going to be in the teens, and we were almost every time.
Yep.
Never had, as I told you earlier, we've never had an equipment failure all year long. A tribute to the guys at the shop that was magnificent. And then when we had guys that were newcomers who worked hard, you know, we had a couple of New England guys in there. Charles Lewandowski from Connecticut, and our own Matt Fromm right here from you know, Salem, New Hampshire.
And a lot of guys, a lot of viewers of this have watched Matt race over the years.
He's done a great job. He won at Lee a few weeks back there and has done a great job. He's learning, but those guys are going to come into the track. There's no testing in NASCAR, so they come into the series. They've got to earn their wraps, and they run laps, try to stay out of trouble. That's what Brett Bodine's looking for. And Matt, at the end of the season, moved up from 5/8 mile track to a 1 mile track. Now he's approved for a 1.5 mile track. So he's still got one more notch to get to the super speedway, but he's earned the respect. And what they're looking for in these young drivers that are moving up the ladder is to not go out and wreck a Kyle Busch or Carl Edwards in the race, stay out of trouble, run all the laps, and get to use of the physical demands of running 300 miles.
Oh, I can't imagine.
I mean, these guys are running 300 laps at Beach Ridge at a 3rd mile track. That's 100 miles. Well, let's take that times 3. So the physical endurance, and we had a couple issues during the summer when it gets real hot that the drivers think they're in shape and not in the shape, and you have to, you know, put a different guy in the seat to get the job done.
So a guy like me is probably got
I would say it's pretty safe to say they're out of the question, and they do have left side weight restrictions, so I'd say that probably really.
So no matter how much money my father's willing to cut you for a check,
that's not going to do anything.
I'm not going to get a ride.
No.
So I mean, leading up to, and we're going to take a break here in a second, but that's kind of sets the stage a little bit for your nationwide program in 2012. And when we come back from commercial, I want to touch on that and have you take us through what the next step is for Go Green Racing.
Be glad to.
So we'll be right back on Mainly Motorsports. From 2-place opens to 5-place enclosed, if you're in the market for a snowmobile trailer, we have Maine's largest selection. Over 100 used sleds in stock with no money down financing available to qualified applicants. Our showrooms are fully stocked with snow clothing for kids and adults, plugs, belts, oil, and more. Scotch Recreation, Route 202 Manchester, and Holton Power Sports, Route 1, Holton, Maine.
Clark's Car Crushing has been a family-owned and operated business since 1978. We do everything from crushing cars, handling industrial scraps, to buying the scrap metal right out of the back of your pickup. Copper, brass, stainless steel, aluminum, you name it, we'll buy it. We have roll-off containers of all sizes for industrial accounts. We'll handle the legwork with full drop-off and pickup services. So for a professional job, guaranteed honest weights, and top dollar paid statewide, come see the Clark family in Farmingdale, Maine. Clark's Car Crushing. Don't fix it, scrap it.
Teacher, car salesman, take advantage of me.
You didn't go to Ospey Trail?
No, I went to the other guys.
Other guys.
Don't bother going to the other guys. Go to Ossipee Trail Motor Sales, Route 25, Gorham.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Northern Race Tire, dealer for Sunoco Race Fuels, distributed by New England Racing Fuel. Moody's Collision Centers, now in 5 convenient locations: Biddeford, Gorham, Portland, Sanford, and Scarborough.
We're back here with Archie St. Lear, owner of Go Green Racing, which still has some ties up here in the Northeast, but 2012 is looking like a huge year for you guys down there on the nationwide side of things.
Sure, I think it's going to be. You know, a lot of the teams down there due to the economy are cutting back, but we just announced that we're going to run a second car. And, you know, we dabbled a little bit with a second car this year, did a little bit of start and park and raced at a couple of races like at Homestead, but we're really going to make a full series out of that second car. You know, January 1st, we're going to move into a bigger shop, twice the size. We'll be at 6,000 square feet down there in Mooresville. And, you know, we're going to have one locked-in driver. We were 26 in points this year, so that locks us in going into 2012 with that first team. So we're looking for a driver in negotiations right now. We should be able to announce something in a couple weeks for one driver to run the complete series, running for points. That'll run all 33 races. There'll be 33 this year instead of 34 due to Nashville closing down. So we'll run all those races with one driver, and it's really to show that our program that can run in the top 20 every week. We had 14 different drivers, as I mentioned. It's just the continuity with the crew chief. You can imagine how it is.
Yeah.
It's just tough every week trying to deal with a different guy when he says, oh, it's tight. Well, how tight is it? You know, when I'm going in the corner, it's loose, it's tight. Well, you really don't know just from the way he's talking.
Well, that guy's
if it's real
looseness
tight.
could be real loose, where
Correct.
you know.
Right.
And on your side of things, you're also dealing with 14 sets of parents.
Oh yeah, sure.
Family. I mean, that you got to. You know,
Yeah.
because everybody's personality is different. So,
Yeah.
you know, to know you got the same people for 33 races, you know, in one car, that's
going to be great.
That should show what you're really all about.
Exactly. And then we'll continue with the second team being the development team that we did this year, which will be the rotational seed, I call it, but just guys that, you know, have people already knocking at the door saying, I want to do 4 races, I want to do 3 races, I want to do this track because it's in my area. So we'll fill it with that development program, which will still run in the 20s in points. That's just a fact of how it works. When you go onto that racetrack that's 1.5 miles, you've never been on it before, you're not going to go out there and pass Kyle Busch. When we do find that guy, we're going to hang on to him, but you're not going to go out there the first race and pass Carl Edwards or Kyle Busch. When those Cup guys are in a race, you can see the difference. It's, you know, the new guys are here, and Busch, and with everybody, even the middle tier guys, they walk right by them. They just have the power, have the equipment, and the talent. There's talent there.
I mean, living proof. Kyle Busch comes to Oxford,
Yeah,
races the
there you go.
250, races the pass race, and wins them both.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Against some of the best drivers that have ever been in New England.
Right.
And he wins them both. So,
Exactly.
you know, anybody that wants to question their talent,
Exactly.
and, you know, there's a reason that Kurt Busch is on the outside looking in,
Right.
but he ain't going to be looking in long. Somebody's going to say, you know what, maybe we can control him, maybe he'll straighten out now, but this guy wins races.
Correct, he does. And contrary to any rumors you're hearing, he will not be coming to Go Green Racing, unfortunately. But anyway, we have a great bunch of guys there, you know, that work on the cars and work at the shop, and we have quality guys. I mean, a guy that helped us out the last 3 or 4 races that we're negotiating with currently to bring on full-time, Paul Andrews. I mean, he was Alan Kowicki's crew chief when they won the Winston Cup Championship.
And wasn't he with Steve Park when Steve Park was having success at
DEI? They brought him over to DEI with Jeff Bodine. I mean, he's been with the top guys and has a Winston Championship.
Yep.
So he's a quality guy and just a nice person. His son Timmy, who drove for us, he's working with us. He gets the car in the show. He qualified. You know, we're at Homestead. He practiced 15th. Ricky Stenhouse was practicing 16th.
Yep.
And that's in our equipment versus them. So we've got some people that can get it done. You know, in the shop, we got one of our shop guys is Bill Nazowitz, was Richie Evans' crew chief. I mean, they're doing a tribute to Richie, just inducted into the Hall of Fame. NASCAR, the only number to be retired in NASCAR. Yeah. He's working in our shop, putting cars together every day. Does a super job. You know, Buddy DeRocher from Massachusetts. Most of these guys are from the Northeast. They work on our team. But Buddy DeRocher was Brian Wall's crew chief. I think he still holds the record at Watkins Glen for road course timing. Did a great job over there. Clinton Cram, our crew chief on the 39 car, was Trevor Bain's crew chief. Look where Trevor is today. He was
Yep.
Jeffrey Earnhardt's crew chief, worked with Andy Santero over there. Just good people. He's from Massachusetts. So it's almost like I call it Team New England when we're down there. Eric Zanini in our shop's from Massachusetts. So a lot of the connections are really, the roots are from up here, and I really like that. You know, Randy LaJoy gets on his show and says that's the Yankee team up there, you know, because most of the guys are from there, and we really enjoy, you know, being together. We really enjoy traveling on the road. It's a major commitment to be in 33 different cities in 33 weeks.
And I like it because it gives us people in Maine a reason to follow that nationwide series.
We love you guys following us, and believe me, I'm not moving down there. We're here. My wife loves it here. We're not going anywhere, and I try to get out there as much as I can. But next year I probably won't be there every week. We're looking at putting some management in position that I can go every other week and still get my duties here back at work done too. At the same
I can't
time.
do it, Archie. My daughter's going to be
You
racing.
were my first thought too.
Damn. Maybe I can hold her off, but
okay.
But you know, it's going to be a great 2012. I can feel it for you, and you know, like you said, you're a realist. Those 15th, that 10th, the 12th.
That's success.
That's you look to improve on each week. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have a major announcement. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, and you know, it's going to make some people happy.
Is it time to replace that old car, but past credit problems are getting in the way? At JT Motors, credit issues are a thing of the past. We have vehicles for any need. Growing family? How about a minivan? With winter here, come in and browse our great selection of four-wheel drive utilities. With a low down payment, you can qualify for this program despite those past credit issues. That's JT Motors, 650 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, where you always drive away with a smile on your face.
Live it up with a new 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Increased horsepower and mileage. Or go for the all-new look of the Jeep Compass 4x4. If Maine had a state car, it would be the Jeep. No other vehicle has the capabilities that come standard on every Jeep. No other dealer is working as hard to be #1 as Southern Maine Motors.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Clark's Car Crushing, located in Hollowell, providing guaranteed honest weights with top dollar being paid. Gary Hotels, located in Brunswick, Freeport, Waterville, and Augusta, the official hotel of Mainly Motorsports.
Hey, I'm Kyle Busch, and when I'm in Maine, I watch Mainly Motorsports.
Well, let's get right to it. The Maine Young Guns competition. Young Guns. We got a lot of them in the state, Arch, and you called me a couple months ago now, and we just been waiting for some things to happen and come up with this idea, and why don't you just throw it out there?
Well, what we're going to do, there's a ton, as you said, there's a ton of young talent, you know, in the young stages, and where is the next, you know, Jeff Gordon? Where's the next Tony Stewart? Jimmy Johnson? Where is the next guy like that? He could be anywhere in the country.
Yeah, we don't know.
And we're going to look right here in Maine. So what I'd like to do is I still have a couple K&N cars left over. We've got a spec engine. And we go to New Hampshire Speedway anyway. The rumor has it there'll only be one race there, the fall race, but it's going to be on a Saturday, and it's going to be regional racing day, so it'll be a great show, actually. They're going to have the modifieds, the K&N, and then probably the ACT Tour. They haven't fully announced it, but that's pretty much what's on the drawing board. And what we're going to do is we're going to look through the state, all through the state, and we're going to find the best young and up-and-coming driver, the young gun. And we're going to put them in a NASCAR race car right at New Hampshire. And it's going to cost the kid absolutely nothing, whether it's a girl, a boy. The criteria is they have to be a race car driver in Maine and have to be between the ages of 15 and 21 years old. And, you know, we talked about what we're going to do at the show, and you can kind of lead into where we're going to head at the show when we're announcing it tonight.
Yep, we're announcing it. So, you know, all you young drivers out there that are in that group, and you live in Maine. You can race out of state, you can race in Florida, but you got to live in Maine. You're a Mainer.
Correct.
And this is your opportunity to kind of have your chance. You know, obviously there's only going to be one guy or one girl that's going to get the ride, but you know everybody's eligible in that age group. We're gonna have the car at the show. You're going to be at the show to answer any questions.
Yep.
The fans are going to get involved. We want the fans' input. We want the fans to come up to the show. We'll find out a way to have it voted online, but they're also going to be able to vote up there at the show. We're going to have a box up there. They're going to write on a slip of paper and we're not going to throw drivers out because we don't want anybody to think that we're favoring anybody, or we don't want to say, oh, you forgot about this one. So you can come in, you can throw your driver's name on. The driver comes in. I know if I was 17 and had any talent, I'd be there putting my name in. because obviously only one person's going to get the ride, and they're going to be at New Hampshire Motor Speedway on that Saturday for the NASCAR race, the K&N Series.
Exactly.
But you know what? I wouldn't be ashamed to think I was in the final. And the way the process is going to be, we're going to narrow the top 10 down. We got a committee. Now, obviously, Archie's on the committee. He owns it. I'm on the committee. Go all around the state. Marco Thomas. Everybody knows Marco from the racing paper. Probably there isn't anybody in New England that's got as much knowledge as he does.
Exactly.
You know, from his years when he did race to following racing for the speedway scene, been a track announcer, and now with the racing paper. And then we went out and found a couple of former drivers. Brad Layton, the winningest driver at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the K&N style cars, has come on board to give us his input and help with the committee choice. And then Andy Santerre. I mean, is there anybody, and when it comes to development, I mean, he handles it down there, and you see him at the races, he's taking these guys that nobody's heard of, Darrell Wallace, Sergio Pena, they're winning races.
He's number one. I mean, the Revolution Racing team with Andy at the helm of it there's no better K&N program. He's agreed to help, and we just love his involvement in it, because I'm sure we'll be getting a little bit of setup information and other stuff from him that will help you know, whoever wins this thing. And you know, the fans at the show, there'll be a booth there. We will pick the 10 people with the most votes at the show. The 10 kids that get the most votes will be, that's how we'll start, with the 10 finalists. And I think that's a great way for the fans to get involved. There's some great drivers throughout the state. After the 10, we'll narrow it down by committee. But tell them about getting on the show, Steve. I think that's important,
you know,
too.
well, now that top 10, we're going to do kind of like an American Idol type of thing. Sure. You're going to make the top 10. We're going to have one of the finalists of the top 10 on the show. Once that's decided, we narrow down the top 10. So every week, you'll be able to tune into Mainly Motorsports and see who else. So it's not no particular order. It's not going to be whoever got the most. Just one of those 10 who we randomly choose to interview, and then that person will be in the final 10. Then there'll be some criteria that final 10 will have to do to get to the point where we announce the final 3.
Correct.
And the final 3, the committee will, you know, the fans are heavily involved in the top 10, but then from there, the committee's going to narrow it down to 3, and then the committee will pick the winner, and that winner will end up in the K&N car down there at New Hampshire.
And what's important here is we're not totally concerned about the best driver in Maine. We're looking for the best rounded person as a driver in Maine. I mean, just like in all facets of NASCAR, we need somebody that's marketable, presentable. I mean, somewhere out there is the next Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson. We want to find them through this program. What does Maine have to offer to this program?
Could be 15 years old, could be 21.
Chase Elliott, 15 years old, you know, Bill Elliott's son. They changed the age group. Everybody says they lowered it to 15 so he could get in the series. He's got a Hendrick ride already, you know, quite a program.
It's crazy. And, you know, and the neat part about it is, you know, how many young kids out there, and we all know, we all started out racing, you know, scrape up everything they can. The family puts their heart and soul in it to get their kid to the next level, whether it's a late model or whether it's legend car racing or whatever. Here's an opportunity where this kid's going to show up, his family's welcome, bring his helmet, his suit, and his hands.
That's all you bring.
And he's going to, you know, he's going to win. And I think another cool thing for the 3 finalists is those 3 finalists, when they're announced, part of their gig is they are going to be required, providing it works out for them, they don't have a race or something, but it should be, they're going to go to the nationwide race with you in July down at New Hampshire, and they're going to be hands-on with your nationwide teams, working in the pits, being involved, being around the whole atmosphere. Now, some of these guys might have already been there. They might have helped out years ago when their dad was a crew chief or something. But that in itself is an experience.
Sure. And we're going to get them right involved. I mean, they'll come. That'll be part of the, you know, pre-requirement is that they go to Loudon with us and help out on the nationwide side just to see how things work. I mean, it's a lot of excitement. Some days you park next to Danica, some days you park next to Kyle Busch. I mean, it's really excitement in the series. But these guys will be working. They'll be showing off that they're well-rounded. That's the most important thing we're looking here. But we don't want anybody to fly in and jump in a race car like the big guys do. We're looking for a guy that starts from the bottom, works on his own race cars, speaks well, is marketable, and can also help out on a race car that day. And then we'll narrow it down. Those 3 guys will really have to show their stuff through performance, through speaking, through helping, and then we'll get down to that somewhere around August 15th, naming the winner.
Yep, and then we'll end up with a test session, maybe up at a local track, just to get them accustomed with the car and what the feel is and the weight difference and stuff, because, you know, we're not going down to New Hampshire. I mean, obviously we don't want to bring the steering wheel back, and we don't necessarily have to go to win, but and like you said earlier with your nationwide deal, that doesn't measure success. Wins and losses don't measure success.
Exactly.
You know, and this could be a good opportunity, you know.
No, it's huge. A lot of times, you know, a couple of years ago when Alan almost won the race down there, Kevin Harvick was sitting over there in the stands. These development people, all the bigger teams have development people. They quietly just go over in the stands and they watch the reaction of how drivers react. Do they retaliate? Do they just walk away from a skirmish or something and move on? How do they react? It's huge in racing nowadays. Even the big teams don't want their cars wrecked anymore. It used to be, you wrecked a car, you moved on, bring another one out of the hauler and go. Well, let me tell you, all the way up to the top, if you're wrecking cars and not getting points, you're not going to be with a team. So they look at the reaction of how guys react to certain situations, and then all of a sudden they get a call and say, hey, come on up and try our late model car, and then come out and try our K&N. Next thing you know, these guys have a ride, and we're looking for people in our operation, to move up the ladder. So if we can find the next guy that's got it, I'd more than happy him be from Maine, because Maine people, the car is going to be sponsored. This is a Maine car for a Maine driver. We've already got some sponsors on board. M&P Auto Parts has come on board and buying tires. Roy's Hamburgers in Auburn is buying tires. Mainly Motorsports is doing all this stuff for us here at the show, helping out. So these sponsors will be on the car, but it's going to be a car sponsored by Maine companies and a driver, the best young driver that we feel in Maine. And again, but just to be on that list, as you said, just to be on that list is important.
For your resume down the road.
Right.
I was a finalist for Maine's Young Gun.
That's right.
And one of these guys is going to be Maine's Young Gun.
Right.
And it's going to be, I'm excited, and I know I don't have a shot because I'm over 21.
That's the only
Because
reason
a little bit earlier, I thought you had me because you said you were looking for somebody well-rounded. I mean, they don't get much better well-rounded than me. But that wasn't.
I'm speechless.
That wasn't the well-rounded we were looking for.
No, not quite.
I'll tell you, what a golden opportunity this is going to be for a young man or a young lady from the state of Maine and their I think of the family, the driver.
I do too.
You just think of those families that have just been out in the garage and done everything they can to give their kids the opportunity. And then a great guy like yourself, Arch, steps up and says, you know what, and I know that you're not doing it so somebody pats you on the back, but you realize what's out there and what it means to somebody to be given a chance.
I think, this racing stuff's been great to me. I'm very fortunate to be able to do it. And around the holiday season, you're saying, geez, we still have guys fully employed down there. A lot of families in that Charlotte area don't have jobs these days. So we're so fortunate. And I think giving back to Maine is important to me to say, this has been a pretty good ride. I mean, we're in the second most popular motorsport in the country. And I'm happy with that, and it hasn't taken a long time, and we can compete. I know we can. With the right people in the right places, we can compete, and we can move up the ladder. I mean, like you said, 3 years from Thursday Night Thunder, when somebody says you can't do it, I say, well, I ran Thursday Night Thunder. When I got to this endeavor, I decided I couldn't drive anymore, but I thought that my Thursday Night Thunder days, I was pretty good at that. But
you did win a race.
Yeah, I did. But I gave my car away, and the guy wins every week now, so I really can't count that. But no, it's been great to me, and I really think that I can just see the look on a kid's face, and a young kid and his parents, like you said. I think it's huge for all the effort that these families have put in. I go to Beech Ridge, I go to Oxford, and see it's a family deal, and everybody's there. And I think it's going to be the smile on their face that we're going to race with the big boys, and the big boys will be in the stands, we'll be in the pits, and it doesn't cost them a dime. Like I said, bring your helmet, bring your fire suit, bring your hands, and everything else is going to be supplied. There'll be a race car sitting there. We'll get some test laps at Beech Ridge or Oxford or both or anywhere in the state where we can get on the track, and we're going to go racing. It's going to be exciting. So
I'm excited, like I said, and I know I don't have a shot, but what a great opportunity for all you young drivers out there in the state of Maine. So make sure you come to the 24th Annual Northeast Motorsports Expo. They'll have a car there on display. They'll have the booth. You'll be able to talk, intermingle, and don't be shy. Get in there. Put your name in that box because you know what I mean? You don't know, and you could get the call, and you're not going to know until you get the call that, hey, we need you to come by our studio because we're going to film you for next week so you can talk about your experience because you're in the final 10.
When do you think Steve will announce them top 10? When do you think we'll get the balloting in. When do you think is a good time to announce that top 10?
I would say sometime between that show and Race and Preview. Which is in Daytona weekend.
Right. Okay.
Great. So
great idea.
it's a chance that we won't announce the top 10. We're going to announce them one at a time.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So
great.
But we'll start the process where your first driver to make the final 10 is Greg Emerson. And then we'll bring Greg on the show and have him talk about his racing for 2012. And talk a little bit about that program, and then the question that they all get at the end, and which all comes into pot, and then obviously the top 3, then it right down to the nitty gritty. Now this is your basically you went from beating, let's say, 50 guys that were in the box.
Exactly.
Down to 10.
Right.
Now you got to beat only 2, and it's yours. So
go.
that's that's going to be
quite a feat.
So I think, and my hat's off to you, and I thought it was a great idea.
No, I think it'll be a great idea. Now, Greg doesn't have much more of a chance than you do of getting in that car, by the way.
Well, I got more experience.
Yeah, that's true. But more size, too, maybe. I don't know. I haven't, we'll probably have
You
to
didn't scale us in? Well, at the North Dam Mill, they do have a scale, and anybody that's looking to lose weight, it's 50 pounds off. So if you want to,
Geez, that'll make anybody sound great.
Yeah, you'd be in a negative.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I want to thank you for taking the time, coming on, talking about your program, and really working with us on Mainly Motorsports to bring something back to the young Maine racers, because we have a lot of young guns out there. And
sure. I think it's, I mean, I'm thankful for having me on the show, but I really think, during the holiday season and right through the winter, it gets a little slow up here in Maine with all the snow. Everybody gets excited at the motorsports show. Of course, it kind of kicks you off, gets your blood pumping. But I think through the winter months, we've all got something to watch every week and see who the next guy is and the next girl is, who it is.
Yeah, almost like one of those other reality shows.
Exactly.
It's almost like reality.
Right.
So thank you, Arch, and it's going to be something for everybody to talk about leading up to the show and then even after the show. So we'll be right back. We get Greg back on the set, fill that camera back up, and we'll finish up this week's edition of Mainly Motorsports. Winter is here. Are you ready?
We are.
Our showroom is stuffed with clothing for kids and adults. Plugs, belts, oil, and more. Looking for a snowmobile trailer? Scotch Recreation is Maine's largest stocking snow pro dealer. We also have over 100 used sleds in stock. Check us out online at scotchrecreation.com. That's Scotch Recreation, Route 4 in Turner, or Holton Power Sports, Route 1 in Holton.
Clark's Car Crushing has been a family-owned and operated business since 1978. We do everything from crushing cars, handling industrial scraps, to buying the scrap metal right out of the back of your pickup. Copper, brass, stainless steel, aluminum, you name it, we'll buy it. We have roll-off containers of all sizes for industrial accounts. We'll handle the legwork with full drop-off and pickup services. So for a professional job, guaranteed honest weights, and top dollar paid statewide, come see the Clark family in Farmingdale, Maine. Clark's Car Crushing. Don't fix it, scrap it.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Award Champs, rewarding your champions, the official supplier of Mainly Motorsports, Southern Maine Motors, You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Award Champs, rewarding your champions, the official supplier of Mainly Motorsports, Southern Maine Motors, out to be Maine's #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep dealership, Route 1 Saco.
Well, I mean, he was here, he was talking about a lot, but how big a deal is that for some young drivers right here from the great state of Maine?
That's out of this world, really.
I mean, the opportunity that, these guys, that's something that you would pay Alex Bowman, who won Rookie of the Year this year, the K&N paid $20,000 a race.
Yeah.
So this is a $20,000 to $30,000 that somebody would have to spend for one race.
Right. And
that Archie's stepping up just before Christmas, and with us at Mainly Motorsports and some other making this happen. So
it's unbelievable. The whole thing's unbelievable. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Every driver, and I don't care if you're Dan McKeag, Ben Rowe, Zach Audette, anybody throughout the state of Maine has wanted to race at Loudon.
Something like this,
when Bob Baer built Loudon, that was everybody's goal, to get to Loudon. Somebody's going to get to Loudon.
Yeah. So it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's just it's kind of speechless.
I was going to say, I'm sitting here thinking that.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So
make sure you tell all your friends and everybody to come up to the show, put your name in the box and get you into that final 10.
Don't think that you're not capable of doing it.
Because obviously, if you didn't think you were a good race car driver and capable of winning races, you wouldn't be racing.
And just like you said, if it comes down to it and you don't get chosen, just to have it on your resume is a big deal.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I figured you'd like that because me and you've been talking. So I'm finally, and we had to wait to announce it because we were going to announce it last week when we had the big announcement on the show, but we couldn't because New Hampshire crossed July off the race and we needed to make sure they had September,
Schedules got messed up.
Yeah, so that's why the delay. So I think this should make a lot of young drivers and their families, at least if nothing else, talk about Mainly Motorsports.
Yeah.
All right.
They ain't talking about us.
No. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back here on Mainly Motorsports.
Hey, are you Bob Crowley?
Yeah.
Are you going to Ossipee Trail?
Yes, I am.
Sweet. Get in.
People will do whatever they gotta do to get to Ossipee Trail Motor Sales, Route 25, Gorham.
Patman's Redemption and Agency Liquor Store is located at 95 Tanberg Trail in Windham, Maine. With over 400 feet of hard liquor and 15 doors of ice-cold beer and soda, Patman's can handle all of your beverage needs. And if it's wine on your agenda, we have over 300 varieties in stock. Then when the party's over, Patman's can handle all of your Maine returnables, and we welcome all bottle drives. And if you're late for the race, drop off the bottles and pick up the cash at your convenience.
Hey, this is Patman himself, just letting you know that Patman's is your one-stop shop for all your thirsty needs.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Scott's Recreation, now at 3 convenient locations. Go to scottsrecreation.com to view their inventory. LKQ Corp, any part, any repair, anywhere. Located on Route 202 in Gorham.
Well, another big thing that's going to be taking place up at the 24th Annual Northeast Motorsports Expo is the media seminar. And
Yeah, it's something that we talked about. We were trying to think of something special to do, you and I kind of had this brainstorm the other night, and we put it together, and here it is. It's going to be called Passing the Mic. It's a racing media debate.
Yeah, and it's we're going to talk, and I'll let you, Greg, tell you who's on the panel, but some of the things we're going to talk about is, you know, how media plays a part in racing, how media can help the racer, what the young racer should be doing with the media, and some of those things.
Right.
And this is the social networking side of things. You know, and once you hear who Greg has lined up as a panel, you'll see where we really cover everything.
Yeah, for a panel we put together, we tried to hit all aspects. We got Kyle Fredrickson from a magazine. We got Travis Barrett, who has Green, White, Checkered Marketing. We got Marco from the Racing Paper. We got you. You're on the panel this time. This is the thing about this is these people are the people who usually ask the questions. They're getting asked the questions this time. We're flipping the cord here. And we also have Andy Santerre, who's going to be on it, giving a general manager of a race team perspective.
So Greg's going to MC the event, so to speak, and we're going to, Greg's going to come up with 4 or 5 questions to ask us for our take on type of situations. But then it's going to be open, the floor is going to be open up for you, the participants that are sitting there that have questions. And, and I'm not saying we're experts, but, I'm at tracks every week, and
it's going to be a good sounding board for people to get info on, geez, maybe I should look at what I'm doing with this, and we'll get into it a little bit more. We'll talk about it a little bit more down the road. So
no, it's going to be fun. There's other things going on with the show. We'll come back. We're going to wrap up this week's show, and we'll touch on that as the show gets closer. What you say that we're only 2 weeks away, so we'll be right back here to wrap up the Christmas edition of Mainly Motorsports.
To order copies of a show, send a check or money order for $15, shipping and handling included, to Mainly Motorsports, 326 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, Maine, 04062. And please add a description of the show.
Today's vehicles are equipped with complex safety features such as anti-lock brakes, seatbelt restraints, and airbag systems. Even collision avoidance systems. Not available in all models. Hi, I'm Sean Moody from Moody's Collision Centers. We don't wish bad luck on anyone, but even with today's technology, we need to keep our eyes on the road and our hands on the wheel.
Moody's Collision Centers, now with 6 convenient locations.
Is it time to replace that old car, but past credit problems are getting in the way? At JT Motors, credit issues are a thing of the past. We have vehicles for any need. Growing family? How about a minivan? With winter here, come in and browse our great selection of four-wheel drive utilities. With a low down payment, you can qualify for this program despite those past credit issues. That's JT Motors, 650 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, where you always drive away with a smile on your face.
You're watching Mainly Motorsports, brought to you by Gary Hotels, located in Brunswick, Freeport, Waterville, and Augusta, the official hotel of Mainly Motorsports. Northern Race Tire, dealer for Sunoco Race Fuels, distributed by New England Racing Fuel.
Now, Greg, you know we have so many people that watch Mainly Motorsports. You know, we hear about them all the time. And I was talking to a guy a few weeks ago, and
are you saying with celebrities?
Well, no, people find us by. But I'll tell you, we do
Can't
have a following. You
Right,
know that,
yes.
right? Because you've learned that through your involvement.
Yeah.
I met a gentleman a few weeks ago, told me about he had a dog. His dog used to, every Wednesday the dog knew, you know, he'd call her and tell her it was time for Mainly Motorsports, and old Maggie would come running over and jump up on the couch, and Rusty and Maggie would watch Mainly Motorsports. Well, Maggie watched Mainly Motorsports for the last time, and right after the show was over, Maggie decided it was time to go to doggy heaven, and you know, it was pretty neat, you know, and talking with him, and you know, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you know, Maggie hung on until the show was over. So in tribute, we're going to dedicate this week's show to Maggie just before Christmas, who
I think that's a nice gesture.
yeah, you know what I mean? Here's a guy, because we all know dog is man's best friend, except that dog of mine that was running around the yard at Home Depot wasn't my best friend at that day. But, you know, Maggie hung on and finished the episode before she passed away. So it's pretty neat, huh?
Yeah, it's good.
I don't think Maggie was calling the shot. I don't
no.
think it was going to be, but...
it's kind of a sore topic, but...
Yeah, no, I know.
I'm glad she got to enjoy your favorite show.
Yeah, one last time. But what a great show we had today, between the announcement of the seminar that you're putting together, you know, talk more about the Northeast Motorsports Expo, hearing from Archie on his 2012 plans for Go Green Racing, but then the main Young Guns competition.
Yeah.
Let the guns come on.
I was excited because I thought, oh, yeah, I get to announce my seminar this week, and then...
That was
it's a cool deal, but it ain't the Young Guns.
It ain't the Young Guns. So, you know, all you young drivers out there, from all the series, the tours, your local tracks, whether you're in the entry division, whether you're in the middle tier division, moving up, on a tour, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can be one of the 10 finalists, and, you know, then we'll go on, you know, and so what? Nobody's going to Loudon with any experience, so don't think the next guy is any better than you, because nobody, I can't think of anybody that, maybe there's a couple of them that have raced Loudon, but not in a K&N car, not in front of, you know, the Harvicks and all those guys. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. So make sure you get up to the Northeast Motorsports Expo, bring your family, get your ballots in, and I'll tell you, it's going to be, this is going to be an exciting next 3 or 4 months to lead up with this.
Yeah. Get in, vote, and, you know, now upcoming shows will have more info on the seminar, but this is a big deal.
And go to mainlymotorsportstv.com to keep up to date with what's going on. So for Greg, I'm Steve. We're like the little elves. Hope all you little kiddies have a great Christmas, and you know, and you were all good for Santa.
Happy holidays, folks.
Yeah, it is. So we'll see you next time on Mainly Motorsports.